Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Shall we begin? Om. 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 Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Samastagada Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam. Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gururadirnadischa Guru Paramadaivatam Guru Parataram Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Na Guroradikam Tattvam Na Guroradikam Tapaha Tattvajnanat Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Harihi Om. Hari Om, everyone. So we're doing 3 verses here. Over the last 2 weeks, we've done 2. We'll do the third one today. So it's not 3 today, where we're talking about the glory of the knowledge, the glory of the man of wisdom. And now we will do the glory or the nature of what we call abidance. What is nishtha? So glory of the man of wisdom we did. Glory of the knowledge we did. What happens? Vidyate hridaya granthi, chidyante sarva samshayaha, shiyante chasya karmani, tasmin drishte parave. Knots of the heart get broken, all doubts are removed, and all karmas of past lives are wiped out. That's what this knowledge does. Then glory of the man of wisdom, which is actually this Jivan Mukta Lakshana is one of the most important topics in Vedanta. The characteristics of a man of enlightenment. Bhagavad Gita dedicates 18 verses in chapter 2, known as Stita Pragya Lakshana, which Gurudev calls, I think his words were the most brilliant literary composition ever done by man, and past, present, and future. The last 18 verses of chapter 2. There's a whole composition called Jivan Muktananda Lahari, which, if you do, is a beautiful composition by Shankara, dedicating it all to a man of realization. Because it's just so hard to describe him that all these stutis are written. Vivek Chudamani, a whole section on the glory of the man of wisdom, which is known as the Jivan Mukta Purusha. So the second verse we did was what's the glory of the man of wisdom, and I think we finished that last week. Prano yesha sarva bhuter vibhati vijanan vidvan bhavate nativadi atma krida atma ratihi kriyavan esha brahmavidam varishtaha. Today we will do what nishtha means, which is the glory or the nature of abidance. Because we said last time that it said Esha Brahmavidam Varishtaha, there's a gradation in terms of realization. That was the implication. And he's the best among the knowers of Brahman. So many issues were raised. If I see the truth, then how can I be different from someone who also knows the truth? And that is true. Once you know the truth, you know the truth. And once you know a raga, you know a raga. But there's a difference between the maestro and the amateur. But they both know the raga. So today, let's start with, this is mantra number 19.
18, right?
18, thank you. Mantra number 18, state of fearlessness. So the characteristics of realized master who abides the truth, abides, the key word is abides. So we always ask, what does that mean? I'm not sure we'll understand at the end, but we'll try. Yada hevesha etasmin adrishye anatmye anirukte anilayane abhayam pratishtham vindate athaso abhayam gato bhavati. Again, this is from the Taittiriya Upanishad, those who've done it. Yada, when, Hiyevesha, alone, indeed, he, etasmin, to this, abhayam pradishtham vindate, the state of fearlessness, he reaches the state of fearlessness when he abides fearlessly, interesting, in adrishye, anatmye, anirukte, anilayane. So there are many things to discuss. What is fear? What is yada? What is adrishye? What is anatmye? What is anirukte? What is anilayane? What is pratishtham? And what is bhayam? What is fear? So this person, when he fearlessly abides in these, he goes to a state of fearlessness, is what this is saying. And what are these? The verb, literal definition, adrishye, invisible. Anatmye, I'm reading the book, unembodied. Anirukte, inexplicable. Aniliyane, unsupported. So we'll briefly, in our life, I don't think we need to discuss what fear is. We all are afraid of something or the other. Fear of the present, fear of the future, fear of someone else, fear of what's going to happen. We are always afraid. Now, this person becomes fearless. He goes to a state of fearlessness. In fact, Guruji is very clear. The one characteristic of a man of wisdom, only one, if you have to point to, is abhayam, fearless. Gurudev, Param Gurudev Tapobanji Maharaj used to call Gurudev, he is Chinmaya, is fearless. Now, what does fearless mean? Yada. When does he go to fearlessness? Yada. When? That's a very important word. Yada is not used. When something happens. When what happens? When this realization happens. How? When he pratishtam abhayam vindate. When he fearlessly abides. When he fearlessly abides in, he goes to state of fearlessness. When he fearlessly abides in one, what? Adrishye. Adrishye, this again in Sanskrit, is to negate the verb drish. So drishya is to see. Drishyam is seen. So adrishye is unseen, that which is not seen. So you could literally translate this as when he becomes invisible. The implication is everything that is seen, he does not abide in that. He abides in that which is not seen. Now let's think about what does seeing mean. Seen does not mean only with my eyes. Seeing means anything that I can perceive, anything that I can see, smell, hear, taste, touch. Anything that I perceive is known as drishya. It is the seen component, not the drashta. The drashta is the seer. Drishya is the seen. So whatever is experienced, i.e. whatever is made of Pancha Mahabhutas, whatever is seen, he does not establish himself in that. He takes nishtha in the adrishya, that which is not seen. Now, why is that? Why is that? The principle is anything which is seen, i.e. perceived, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, anything I can see, smell, hear, taste, touch, anything, feel, think, is vikari. It is mutable, changeable. And by definition, if anything is changeable, mutable, it is destructible. Yadrishyam tad vikari tad nashyam. Anything which I can see is mutable and therefore it is destructible. It perishes. Now, we know very well that Brahman is indestructible, immutable, unchangeable, therefore it is unseen. So his nishtha is in adrishya, not in drishya. His abidance, when he fearlessly abides in adrishya, in the unseen, unmodified, indestructible, he is on his way to becoming fearless. So, because this Atma is adrishya, unseen. It is not drishya vastu. Etasmin abhayam pratishtham. In what? Adrishya. Next one, anatme. Anatme. Now, anatma here in the context means body. So he does not take abidance in the body. Etasmin adrishya, etasmin anatme. He does that which is not anatma. He abides in not anatma. Anatme. The anatma here represents the body. So he does not establish himself in the body. Our biggest issue is deha buddhi, dehoham, asmi. His establishment is atma buddhi. I am not this body. So this body does not just mean gross body, subtle body, causal body, because all three bodies are again drishya. They are seen. If they are seen, I can see my body, I can see my gross, I can see my subtle, I cannot see my causal, but I know it's there. Therefore, it's apart from me. And if they are drishya vastu, then they are again vikari, modified. Well, if they're modifiable, tad nashyam, they are destructible. So no deha buddhi. So he does not get nishtha in deha buddhi. He has nishtha in atma buddhi, which is not deha buddhi. Anatme is the word used. So it doesn't mean he's bodiless. Does not take abidance in that. What this is saying is this Paramatma Tattva, this Atma Tattva is adrishya, unseen, anatme, no body. This no body concept also came from previous verses. Divyo Hyamurta Purushaha. What is the Atma? Divyo Hyamurta Purushaha. Sabahya Bhyantara Yaja, unborn, outside and inside. Aprano Ammanaha Shubhraha, no pranas, no mind, therefore no gross body, no subtle body, pure Shubhraha. Yaksharat Parataparaha, it is beyond the unmanifest, which means it is not even the causal body. Anirukte, fearlessly abides in Anirukte. Anirukte means indescribable, inexplicable. We use that word, but do we really know what it means? Inexplicable. What can we describe? What can words describe? The next verse is a beautiful one, which we will do next time. What can we describe in words? Anything that has a name, nama, a form, rupa, an activity, kriya, a property, guna, a relationship with something else, sambandha. So I can describe something in terms of its name, its form, its properties, its activities, or its relationship with something else. Beyond that, I cannot describe anything. Again, it means whatever is drishya, whatever is seen by our senses and our mind, I can describe. This is not perceivable. Therefore, it cannot be described. That's why in Vedanta, it stops somewhere. You cannot describe the indescribable. It is anirukte. So all Mahatmas, all Rishis will simply give you the pointer to the indicated, and we always ask for definition of the pointed, which is why our minds stop there and we are unable to progress. Speech can only describe drishya vastu, what can be perceived by our mind and our senses. So anirukte is indescribable, inexplicable, because it is my own self. I can describe my body, I can describe my mind, I can describe my thoughts because it is apart from me. But that which illuminates or gives me the ability to describe, how can I describe that which gives me the ability to describe? Anirukte, inexplicable. Now, this we're talking about fearlessly abiding in anatme, adrishye, anirukte. Just think about that progression, fearlessly abiding. It's therefore you see a gradation happening. You see this movement happening. Anilayane. Nilaya, house. Anilaya, homeless. Therefore, this Jivan Mukta Purusha is homeless, houseless. Pretty much true. All are sannyasis. They don't have a home. But that's not what it means. What does a house do for us? What does a house give us? Anyone?
Sense of security,
Mm-hmm.
shelter,
Shelter?
The place you're tied to.
Is it tied to?
Bondage.
Not a Vedantins here. Good. Support. House gives you support. When you go to Vibhuti, what's your first email to Trishna? Not what's the topic, who is there. That you've got to. What's the first thing you will ask her?
Accommodation.
Accommodation. Attached bathroom. Preferably a cottage. Otherwise, an AC room. We go on. And when we go there, we don't say, let me go to the temple, let me go meet Guruji. First question, where is my room? You go to a hotel, some people jump straight to the pool, but rarely. First, where is my room? You want to have that support. Because the human body needs an ashraya, an adhishthan, a support. Whether it's a chair, it's a house, you need a support. Now, this realized master is anilayana. This Paramatma Tattva is ashrayaless. It is the ashraya of everything. It is the support of everything. He does not need any support. So Nilayana does not mean home, it means support. Anilayana, he's abiding in that which provides support to the entire world. Which verse did that? Anyone remember? 7, 8, 9 verses ago. Yat param brahma sarvatma vishwasya ayatanam mahat sukshmat sukshmataram nityam tat tvameva tat vishwasya ayatanam. It is the substratum of the entire world. This is a garland of Upanishads. We have to keep going back to see how does it all fit. So he takes nishtha in that which is anilayana, which is the substratum, the support of everything, not in that which quote unquote supports us, because that actually even supports that house. In this Brahman, which is Atma Swarup, again we did this. Last verse, yada hi eva esha etasmin brahmani. In that Brahman, in which he's taking nishtha, it is not a drishya vastu, therefore it is adrishya. It's not a physical, gross or subtle body, anatmi. It is not describable, anirukte. It does not need any support, anilayane. In that Brahman, which is the support of everything, which does not need support, because that is me. And he's abhayam pratishtham vindate. He's fearlessly abiding in these principles. And when he fearlessly abides in adrishe, anatme, anirukte, anilayane, what happens? Abhayam gato bhavati. He goes to a state of fearlessness. We need to talk about fear. Can anyone tell me, I mean, you may say it's a silly question. What is fear? Anyone?
I always remember the Czech version, false expectations appearing real.
Nice one. Nice one. Come on, we all have PhDs in fear. Describe your fear. There's one thing we all know extremely well. Is fear.
Fear of death, fear of losing somebody,
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
fear of death, or fear of losing someone, fear of something which is not you yourself.
Perfect. Wonderful, Amma. Anyone else?
Uncertainty, not knowing what is going to happen.
Uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen. Good. Anyone else?
Change.
Fear of change. Anything
Also, the
else?
fear of past action also.
Fear of past action. Regrets, yes.
Inadequacy.
Fear of inadequacy. Good.
Fear is that which is born out of attachment.
Good. Any other fears we have? Or are we all fearless?
I guess a lot of them come down to a sense of incompleteness because we sense that loss, attachment, not being good enough. It's all down to a sense of incompleteness.
So just I was reading about Krishnamurti last night. The movement from certainty to uncertainty is that what I call fear. The movement from certainty to uncertainty.
Yeah. Anyone else? How many times have you been admonished by Guruji Krishna? Darte ho tum log, darte ho. Sound familiar? So, fear. Let's see if we break it down. Everything else you've described is a derivative of probably 3 or 4 things, which we'll try to get. Number 1, I'm afraid. Question is, of what? I'm afraid when there is something other than me. Number 1. If I'm by myself, there's no fear. Of course, there will be other matters. But in general, I'm afraid of somebody or something external to me. They may harm me, they may hurt me. So normally I'm afraid of something else. Upanishad say, Dvitivai bhayam bhavati. When there is two, a second entity, there is fear. If there is only one entity, Brahman alone, non-dual Advait, there can be no fear. So when we say there's a second entity, it could be anybody, anything that we even that may or may not exist, but we see or perceive, even if we think of something else, there's fear. A negative thought arises. It may harm me. It may cause me damage. The wise man is saying, there is no duality. I am all by myself. Even if at all I see duality, previous verse made it clear that my pranas is what is reflected in them. And therefore, it's only me. It's like me standing in front of a hall of mirrors and seeing myself. So there's absolutely no duality, so there can be no fear in the man of wisdom. There's nothing to fear because there's no duality. Previous verse says what? Prano hiesha sarva bhuteir vibhati. My pranas, my life force, my chaitanya is reflected in everything else, that even if I perceive. Abhayam pratishtam vindate. The second, so when we talk of nishtha, abidance, the other way to think about it is I see the sun and then the clouds come. Then I don't see the sun. And then it becomes night and I don't see the sun at all. I know the sun is there, but I don't see the sun. And then a time comes when the clouds are there, but I still know the sun is there. And a time comes when even at night, I know the sun is there. Full abidance, Esha Brahmavidam Varishtha, that best of the knowers of Brahman, even Yan Isha Sarvabhutanam, even at night, he knows the sun is there. During the day, cloud or no cloud, he knows the sun is there. Fully aware, fully awake at all times to that truth. That is Esha Brahmavidam Varishtha, the best of the knowers of Brahman. Totally established in this Advaita Bhava, and therefore non-dual, therefore no fear. Biggest characteristic again of Jivan Mukta is Abhayam. He is fearless. Because he has fearlessly abided in Brahman. Coming back to fear, the second aspect of fear, first is someone else. Our biggest fear is fear of loss, fear of losing what I already possess. Right? Maybe person, maybe things, maybe job, maybe position, maybe power, friendships, relationships, activities, people, fear of loss. Fear of loss of my guru. To the Jivan Mukta, when it said in Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, next verse said, Divya Himutta Purushaha. Third verse said, Yat Param Brahma Sarvatma, Tat Tvameva Tvameva Tat. So that Brahman, which is the Atman, which is me, already, where is the question of loss? When it is already me. So loss means I have something, own something that belongs to me, that I lose it. If there is no second entity, that is me alone. There is nothing to lose. I can't lose myself. So there's no question of loss, and therefore fear is gone. The third reason for our fear, first is something different from me, two is fear of loss. Third one, and everything else becomes a derivative of that, is I think this will give me joy or sorrow. So if something comes, I'm afraid it will give me sorrow, or it gives me joy. If it gives me joy, I'm afraid I will lose it and that joy will go. Or if something is unknown that comes to me, fear, will it give me joy or sorrow? From these three, all other fears are derivatives. Otherness, fear of loss, fear of joy and sorrow. Guruji's funniest story, people come and they say, I'm afraid of what? Of what will happen? He says, I can guarantee only two things will happen. One, that which you expect, or two, that which you do not expect. Other than these two, nothing else will happen. So to be afraid of that is irrational, but that's the fear we carry with ourselves our whole lives. Fear of the expected and fear of the unexpected. Fear of the expected, will it give me joy or sorrow? And if it gives me sorrow, I'm sad, I'm afraid. If it gives me joy, will I lose it? And fear of the unexpected, which is irrational fear, because I don't know what it's going to bring. So why be afraid of that? So this person becomes fearless because he's gained abidance in this fearless non-dual Brahman. If you gain abidance in fearless non-dual Brahman, you become fearless. You go to a state of fearlessness. You are fearless. That is the greatest overt characteristic of a Jivan Mukta. Ataso abhayam gato bhavati. The important word used here is yada, the first one. Yada, when. When and only when a person awakens to his self, atha, then and only then, abhayam gato bhavati. I'm going to pause there. The next verse is the most famous verse in the Taittiriya Upanishad. When we said it's indescribable, it talks about that. You all would have memorized this verse by now. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. But that we will do next time. So abhayam, most important characteristic. So this is the nature of abidance. And the more one abides in the fearless Brahman, they become fearless. Because they are abiding in that which is not seen, in that which is not describable, that which does not need any support, that which does not need any body. It's unembodied because he is beyond the gross anatmya, beyond the gross, subtle, and causal. The hardest thing I find personally is this concept of nishtha. And it needs constant reflection. From seeing the sun to seeing the sun even when it's night. That fully awakened state. And that's where the gradations comes. That's why it says, Esha Brahmavidam Varishtaha. Best among the knowers of truth. So even those who know the truth, there's gradations. And from our perspective, the gradations are also from being Shrotriya. Thoughts, people? Open floor. I'm only pontificating here. I'm due to meet Guruji tomorrow day after. I'm actually going to raise this question with him. Hopefully he doesn't shout at me, but I will ask this question about the gradation. It's not fully clear yet.
That would be good. I was just going to ask, not about Guruji, but I was going to ask about this as well. Because I'm still stuck on this point from last week. You either know or you don't. Like, you know, it's not like there's a gray light. So, yeah, very keen to hear. Can you message us as soon as you hear or record it?
The only way I try to internalize that is this cloud, and it becomes clear. I've seen the sun, yes, but when the cloud comes, remember, then that samshaya comes back, that our prarabdha is still carrying us, that full clarity is not yet there, that full nishtha is not yet there. Therefore, the razor's edge continues until this complete abidance in that truth happens. And these four characteristics are beautifully put. Complete abidance in adrishya, complete abidance in anatmi, complete abidance in anirukti, complete abidance in anilayane. And then you become totally fearless. And then it is 24/7 awareness. So there's knowing and there's knowing. But that's my hypothesis. We all have to reflect.
Darshan, could you compare this to, say, scholars who like to study this knowledge? So they know the knowledge, but they don't know as an as a lived experience knowledge.
No, that becomes a professor.
Okay.
And there's a big difference between a professor and a realized master. Realized master may not be able to even explain or even speak of,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have the Vedic knowledge. You won't be a Shrotriya, but you can be a Brahmanishta without being a Shrotriya. To be Shrotriya Brahmanishta is unique. Gurudev, Guruji, Swamiji, our lineage has our Shrotriya Brahmanishtas. And that's the only path advocated by Gurudev, Chinmaya Mission. But you have Ramananda Rishi was a Avadhuta. He just realized it. He didn't go study the scriptures. Of course, after that, he was able to verbalize a lot and wrote beautiful Saddarshanam and Upadeshar. But that Shrotriya is unique.
What we're talking about, and maybe I don't know, I think it was verse 12. He says, Naham manyesu vedeti, nona vedeti vedacha. It's basically that, right? It's not that I don't know, but nor is it that I actually know, right? At which point, when we studied that, I thought, okay, well, you basically don't know the truth. But there is no, there's still this concept of you. To know, there is no concept of you anymore. So as long as that concept of you is there, we're not Brahmanishta, basically.
Yeah, it's beautifully put. Someone put it on the WhatsApp group. Gurudev saying, I know not what to tell you what I do know. Beautifully put. Basically, he's saying, I know, but I can't tell you what I know because I know not how to tell you what I do know. And it comes back to this anirukte, indescribable. Because to describe something would require a perception of our senses, mind and intellect to communicate that. This is absolutely beyond. So no words, yato vacho nivartante, the next verse will say. Words come back from there. So at best, we can just intellectualize to objectify what we cannot objectify, what we cannot know, in the hope that it will get us closer to knowing the unknown.
Can I just share something? I don't know quite how to put it. You know, one of the other verses also that we studied where it was said that the guru, the one that Sandeep just quoted, the guru recognizes that the student has understood the knowledge in the way that he has taught. And that's when he blesses him and he says, right, my work is done. So all the knowledge has been given to us. This thing about nishtha is like it's the abhyas of that knowledge. So is it not that we have to do that deep reflection, if you want, like that dhyana abhyas? I mean, I don't know what the technical term is where we say, right, that firm abidance comes when we are constantly reaffirming to ourselves, like really with that conviction and that faith, that yes, what my guru has told me is so we are constantly reflecting and reasserting and reaffirming, whether it's in your seat of meditation or if it's open eye, like when we're going out and we are really looking at this and saying, this is that prana. You know, I was like, this week I was using that very example that you gave, which is like when you see the leaves, when you're watching the branches move, don't just think, oh, like it's a bit cool or whatever. Like we have to feel that this is that prana, this is that very same air that I'm breathing, which is being reflected out there. I mean, not reflect. I mean, I'm using the word reflection, but it's not reflection. This is the very consciousness which is making that move. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So this is what I mean by abidance. So where we said okay, you have a beginner who's learnt a rag and a maestro who's absolutely excelling in that rag. What is the difference? The difference is the practice of that knowledge. So in our case, it's not just like reading all the time, but we have to find our own way of abiding in that knowledge. And to the extent in which we abide in that, we begin to identify with that. And therefore, my current identification with my body, with my mind, with my thoughts, with these fears of, he did that and she did that and what will happen, it will start thinning out. And to the extent that it thins out, to that extent, it's like, this is becoming more and more relatable then I know in my own little way I'm getting less affected by the little pinpricks of the world, so that nishtha is slowly becoming more evident and more sustainable, more resilient. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's a
and
good point.
then you find that you yourself become that much fearless in your own little ways.
Yeah,
Do you know what? There's a subtle difference of emphasis. So I think, I mean, I don't know. I think for me, the journey has not been that, okay, like just one day I'm going to say that I'm a Brahmagyani. No, it's, we've got the knowledge. We've received it. How much do we believe in it is the nishtha. How much are we willing to let go of this anatma, really? And then become that aniketa or this anilam. Then we have to do the atmarati and atma krida in ourselves, and to that extent you are becoming nishtha and you're abiding in it, and lo and behold, one day you realize that actually, the sun is always there. The sun is there. It's always been there. So anyway, I haven't expressed it very well, but I think that's the click to the nishtha, which is, it's not that one day I'm going to be in samadhi.
yeah, interesting points. Nishtha is still, the degree of nishtha gives the degree of the knower of Brahman, and there is those gradations. So the question is, to what extent is it effortlessly available, or does it require some effort to go into samadhi, like it happened even with, or would it happen spontaneously with Ramakrishna? Or do we have to consciously close our eyes and withdraw our mind and do all that stuff slowly? Or is it something that just effortlessly happens 24/7? And that 24/7 happens when that secret source is revealed to us. Remember that shloka? Last verse of Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Who remembers it?
Yeah, well, I don't remember it.
Yes, Yadeva Parabhakti.
Yes, Yadeva.
When that devotion to the Guru becomes the same as the good devotion to the Lord, all this Katita Hyartha, all these words of the Upanishads, Prakashante Mahatmana, they reveal themselves. So that's
So you
when
see, that's
revelation happens, and this revelation can only happen from the Guru. And when that happens, your nishtha is permanent. So what we're doing now is step by step, step by step, step by step.
But you see, that's where I think I differ, because I don't think it's going to be like something which one day you'll suddenly wake up and say, oh yeah, I have Guru Bhakti. What I'm saying is, each one of us, to the extent that you have that bhakti, and to the extent that you are doing what the teacher has said, following the instructions, really putting in your effort, and knowing always, Guruji says, remember, the grace is always there. So you are becoming more and more Atma Nishtha yourself. this is not something we are just studying. It is not out there that we then have to go and attain it. The point is the Guru has said, you are that. And if you've done if we've done our reflection and we are practicing, we have to sit and practice that Brahma Abhyas, whatever, take that Brahmakar Vritti and actually really go deep down, and we have to shift our identification from the Anatma to that Atma, to that which I am, which my teacher has told me. Then to that extent, I'm growing in my Nishtha. To that extent, I'm growing in my abidance, which I then see in my day-to-day experiences. And to that extent, I become fearless. But perhaps your question is about then finally becoming a Kshotriya, like a full-fledged scholar, and a Brahmanishta like Gurudev. Then that obviously is a much longer journey. But I'm approaching it from the point of view of we've learned the raga, right? We are absolute raw beginners. We've learned the raga. But am I practicing my music all day, 24/7, or am I still just practicing for 1 hour a day? Well, that's your effort, right? But if I've decided, no, I am a musician, I know I am nothing but a musician, and I want to go out there and make my music effortless, then it means I switch my identification to just that. That's the difference. That's the extent of the Nishtha. It's very different in the spiritual field. It's the identification that's blocking us.
Can I say something, Suresh?
Sure.
There's a few things that you just said there, Meenaji. I think we're talking about our level.
Yeah.
At which point, sorry?
Yes, that's right. I agree.
At which point we're talking about our conviction, right? As much conviction as we have, at that much we will progress. But what I thought you were starting off with is what is the route by which you get that final realization? And what I was going to say is that you and I, the way I've come to make peace with not understanding that, is that we're talking about the infinite. Infinite must be the journeys to get there, because you can't say there's only kind of one kind of way. So as Suresh was alluding to, there's different masters, and each one had their own kind of journey. So in the infinite will be the ways of doing it. But yes, there is the spiritual path that we have to follow. We have to get this conviction. We have to do the sadhana, and all of that advice we can't refute. That's been given to us from master after master. So I think it's easier to kind of break it down and say, okay, what exactly am I talking about? What is my next step? Is very different to saying how did Gurudev get there?
Miss Anu?
Like when you have a dream and you're full of fear in the dream, you wake up the next morning, it's not real, but that fear still kind of you still shudder from it, even knowing that it's not real. You have all the knowledge that you were just dreaming, but it kind of like stays within you. Like, how do you get rid of like the blueprint of fear, even in the abidance and knowing? It sometimes just sits there.
It's a good question. Anyone?
Does Mumukshotvam play a part of this, a burning desire for liberation? Because if we don't have that, then we can walk this path, but that burning desire isn't there. And that will drive everything. That will drive our ability to practice, our ability to be consistent, our ability to be fearless, our ability to discern. And that will drive a lot of things in our sadhana.
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally agree.
Mumukshadam is the fuel. No question. There's the fuel which drives the car. Well, the motor push you. You need that. But fear, sometimes fear is even the thought of something will cause fear. In fact, the only thing to fear is fear itself. Who said that? Was that Churchill? So the thought of fear, sometimes I have irrational fears. I'll sit there and in the past I'll think, well, the tax man may come and see this, and that fear will actually cause serious fear. So different peoples have different fears, and then you tend to go straight in life. So fear is a powerful emotion which helps put you on the right path too. But fear is a strange thing. It's with us from cradle to grave. And that's why the only characteristic we can point to, which is the end result of this journey, of this sadhana, is fearlessness. It is the one thing that we always carry. Fear of otherness, fear of loss, fear of joy or sorrow, and all the derivatives thereof.
But also, Suresh, if I'm understanding Anu's question here, what she's saying is, what can we do? Is that right? And if the answer, I think there's only one answer to that question, which is inquiry, right? So as you suggested earlier, Guruji, when someone says, I'm scared, Guruji will say, of what? Now, we don't need Guruji to ask us that question. We can ask ourselves this question, of what? And, it's been told to us many times, most of our fears have never come true. Most of our fears, if you inquire into them, you'll find there's no actual basis for it. Our difficulty is we don't actually inquire. So as a result, we've given this fear a reality, and we're too scared we don't even have the bravery to kind of go and face it like that. But in practice, I don't think we have to face it kind of head on. We can even just start asking very simple questions. Oh, what am I scared of? I'm scared of this. Okay. Just that much awareness, at least we have that this is what I'm scared of. Even that can be a little bit of a start sometimes. Now, it's not like we're completely scared of every single thing. There are particular fears, as Suresh has said a few times in this class. Then, we can start kind of slowly. It's not like we have to kind of tackle the whole thing in one go just because we've learned this one verse. We have to kind of do it at a rate, but we have to be persistent, as Gurudev says. We have to hasten slowly. But bottom line is, without inquiry, fear will probably not go.
The simple answer is prayatna, prayatna, prayatna. Remember the video Guruji put out. This body is the vessel. The Guru is the Karanadhara, the helpsman. Favorable winds is Guru Kripa. And prayatna is your effort. If we don't put in the effort, we're committing Atma Hatya, spiritual suicide. How do we do it? Very simple. Guru ki sharan mein sada hi rehna. Very simple. Tvam hino neta, tvam hino data, yatra tvam nayasi, tatra gacchamaha. Then when you do that, kapi no chinta, kapi no bhayam. Why should I worry? Why should I be afraid? Yada shraye tava, I'm always under your grace and your guidance. Partamahe sada. Rakshakastvam hi sankate kvapi, shikshakastvam hi shobhune pati. Dehi na shaktim buddhim tatha bhaktim tarshite marge chalanaya nityam hi. Yadi vismaramastvam tvam na vismaranaha. And then what? Balakastavahe karuna kara prabho. Hey Prabho, hey Vibho, hey Guru. Guru ki sharan mein sada hi rehna. Secret ingredient, secret sauce. Should we conclude with the Bhagavad Gita? Any volunteers?
Just one very quick point, Suresh, as you say that. Our fourth verse of the Gita Panchamrit is also exactly this. Yoga Shemam Vaham Yaham, right?
Take refuge in me, he will take care of everything. Gita Panchamrit, volunteers? Verse 1.
I can do the second one, Karmene.
Okay, first one.
I don't know.
Krishna, 3?
Is the first one?
Number 3? Smita, number 4? Rajesh, number 5? 5? Chris, okay, let's start.
उद्धरेदात्मनात्मानं नात्मानमवसाधयेत् आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुः आत्मैव रिपुरात्मनः
हरि ओम कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफला हेतुर्भू मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्य कर्मणि
यत् करोषि यदज्ञासि नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत् यत् तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम्
चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्। हरि ओम्।
सर्वधर्म परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं सर्वपापेभ्यः क्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः।
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all very much. We won't have a class next week, which is the 10th. 17th is a maybe, because I just come back 48 hours before. If I get to study on the plane, then we'll take the class, otherwise we'll skip that as well. But I'll be in touch. If anybody wants anything from India, just send me a WhatsApp.
Pranams to Guruji.
And the recording of his answer.
Yes, if he gives me an answer. Hari Om.
Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you, Sureshji.
Hari Om. Thank you, Sureshji.